Hey, Navigators of the Commonwealth. Welcome to your film director theme session on reframing noncompliance, understanding resistance as communication. So we're going to pop out in the chat the name generator as always, so that you can get your film director name here. I'm loving all of the different names that our team has already gotten here. So be sure to have some fun getting your film director name. Getting hyped with this awesome film credit reel, like Universal kind of thing. This is such a great pick, Taryn, for the film director theme. We'll just take a minute for everybody to join us here. And I'm going to go ahead too and get us started on our Menti poll, our icebreaker warm up here. So if you want to use the menti.com code up at the top here, if you go to menti.com and enter that code, you can respond to this question. You can also use the QR code as always. Go ahead and pop out in the chat. And this is a word cloud, so you only need to enter a couple of words, and it'll start to make a cloud for us. When someone is labeled non-compliant, what usually comes to mind? When someone is named labeled non-compliant, what usually comes to mind? Oh, I love that, Valerie. Walk the red carpet of helpers extraordinaire. Spectacular, spectacular. Ooh, some great names out here. Director of Deep Breaths. The Epic Journey Guide. Amazing. Okay, so word clouds are coming in as well. Difficult is a big one. Barrier to treatment. Absent, resistant, aggressive. Potent words here. Oh, I love that, Jeanette. Subtitle of support writer, clapper of clarity, director of You've Got This. Oh, these are good hype names. So be sure to get your name and respond to our warm-up here. We'll get started in just a minute. The empathy auteur, Kayla. I love that. Yeah, I know, Jennifer, like these themes and like how they all weave together. It's all Taryn. She is so clever with all of our themes and topics and how they weave together. So it's great to have a creative group. No worries, Theta. We'll just participate in the chat however you can, okay? Great to see you. Keep sharing your names and responding to the word cloud here. We're seeing a lot of consensus in the word cloud around difficult and resistant as what comes to mind when someone is labeled non-compliant. But, you know, some of these other words, stubborn, hard, absent, unwilling, aggressive, not engaging, defiant, right? Those are not things, back to our conversation back in December, those are not labels that are going to be helpful to include on our documentation notes for folks, right? When we're talking about documentation that helps rather than harms. Yes, Taryn is the queen of themes, absolutely. Okay, great. So I think the music just stopped here. So I'm going to take that as our cue to go ahead and move forward with our next steps. So as always, with our Navigator session, just a couple of guidelines for how we want to be in conversation with each other here on the slide. And I'm actually going to return on back to our original a title deck here to tell you a little bit about what we're thinking for the theme and the topic. Of course, this topic is the one you all voted on during our February session. Reframing noncompliance and understanding resistance as communication. So our theme for this session is directing a complex film production. In our helping professions, we're often coordinating a lot of different elements all at once. So different personalities and characters, pressures, timelines, deadlines, expectations, budgets. Much like a film director working with a cast and crew, we're responsible for keeping the work moving forward while also creating conditions where people feel safe enough to show up and participate. So sometimes when someone doesn't follow directions or engage in the way we expect, it can quickly get labeled as non-compliance with some of those other labels that we developed with the word cloud. But just like on a film set, what actually looks like resistance on the surface could be a signal that something behind the scenes isn't working. unclear expectations, a lack of trust, competing pressures, or someone not feeling heard. So today we are going to explore how moments that appear to be non-compliance can actually be opportunities for deeper understanding, and how reframing those moments can help strengthen relationships and improve all of the work that we're doing here together. Let's move us forward. So again, remembering some of those labels we identified associated with noncompliance here and our guidelines for the session. Before we turn it over to Valerie to take us through our awesome content for today, I'm going to turn it over to Kristen to tell us a little bit about what does the research say about this topic, right? And this is some research we're actually actively conducting right now on responsiveness of resources to help seekers and helping professionals. Kristen, take it away.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, as we know in research, right, it has pointed out how many of our help seekers use a lot of different systems, and resource guides often don't tell the whole story. So, we did a large research project in Kentucky looking at 3 different counties. And one of the things that we heard over and over and over again with helping professionals is we need better resources. And is this something you can work on and we can help identify? So we went through 211, K1 Connect, all these different resource guides, and we compiled in work group 1, which had 1 county, and work group 2, which had 2 counties. Okay, great. There's 112 organizations in this county. There's 197 in these 2 counties. And we worked with our student research in the College of Public Health to call all these organizations. Many of these organizations.
Oh, Kristen, you're muted.
Sorry about that. I don't know how that happened. Many of these organizations got 3 or more phone calls. They also got an email and just were continually reached out to. And what we found is many of the organizations didn't call us back. Some of the organizations, even when we called, would hang up on students or say they're not interested. They would call places like pharmacists who listed as having Narcan, and the pharmacist would be like, I haven't seen Narcan in years. Like, oh. So what this research really shows us, as you can see in the inclusion rate, 56% in the 1 county only had viable resources. 52% in the 2 other counties had viable resources. So again, it wasn't an issue of compliance. It was an issue that there's a structural issue going on. So if we're sending help seekers to these organizations to get resources, and they have a 50% chance that the resources don't work, what does that actually look like and mean? So even like thinking as a social worker, how are we writing and we taking our notes? If we're saying like, well, we gave the help seeker a list of resources and they didn't do anything with it, when in reality, we're not seeing the whole picture. And we can go to the next slide, which I think just really captures what some of the students were expressing with their process, right? Some of the students experienced tone, right? Where they told me they're like, we feel bad calling these places because they seem so annoyed and frustrated when they pick up the phone. And so just even like saying like tone goes a long way. And how are we answering the phone, even when we're busy and tired and things like that? And what does that look like and mean, right? Students talked about the mental exhaustion of having to repeat what they were going through over and over again. And I'm sure that it can be exhausting because it was definitely frustrating for them. So then how help seekers must be frustrated having to repeat their story over and over again and what that looks like. They found that it was pretty normal to be transferred. Oftentimes it took 3 or 4 transfers to get the information they needed to find out if they were eligible or ineligible for services, right? And so then they would get transferred and have to get transferred to a supervisor who they would have to leave a message for and then wait for a phone call back. And so there was just huge issues with complications and breakdown in systems. This larger quote was from a student where they shared a story on how they were calling a resource that listed that they have And as we can see here, right, that they have resources and medications for opioid use disorder. And she was calling to find out eligibility and what that looks like. And the person's response was, well, you can come to my office and pick the flyer off my desk. And she's like, ma'am, I'm in Lexington. I am hours away from you. And she's like, well, we have another office that's in Fayette, and you can go there. And then proceeded to hang up on the student. And the student was utterly shocked that that was her experience. And I want, again, this wasn't just one particular story like this. We heard this over and over and over again from students who called over 300 organizations. And this was their response that they felt, even when introducing themselves from, I'm from the University of Kentucky, right? All the privilege of saying they're a student, and still they were being treated like that. So, what are our help seekers experiencing if this is the system that they're working with?
All right. Are we good? Am I on?
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing all of that. I can say from the help seekers perspective, not surprised, dealt with this morning. This is living the experiences. But like I said in the chat, lots of opportunity here. So first, to even solve this, we need to be aware. Awareness is here. We have the data, we have the experiences. We know that there's opportunity for growth in this area because we all have the same goal. We all want to connect helping professionals and help seekers so that all of this support is effective and reaching people, and so that people are not disengaging. And what is happening when people are disengaging is that they are being labeled. And here we have one label right here on the screen, loud and proud, non-compliant. So when systems say non-compliant and systems control the narrative, the assumption is that usually the person doesn't care or they won't cooperate. But when you are the person living inside the consequences of the system, things feel very different. So sometimes what looks like resistance is actually someone trying to regain a sense of control. And sometimes the question that people are asking themselves is very simple. Is this actually going to help me? So we go back to tone. If you are calling for help, which, a lot of people are raised to be independent and self-sufficient and not, that's just, the confidence and the pride that they have in themselves, or they don't want to bother other people. It's not easy to ask for help, no matter how people say it and no, it's normal and it's fine. If you really get the bravery and the courage to pick up the phone and call someone, and then you can hear that they're disinterested, they're bothered, all of this, and then you shut down, and then you get labeled on top of it, these things just continue to pile and pile and pile up on top of one another. I can give another like kind of a specific example. And I think, if you've come to previous sessions, this all the through line of all of these sessions is engagement. So they all overlap, although each session is a standalone. The themes continue. And so I'm thinking back to when we talked about paperwork, forms and checklists. So one could be asking someone to sign paperwork and they don't do it and they become guarded. I think I shared, if you were on that session, that I was given a social needs screener and I put it in my purse and left it in there and didn't do it because, again, going back to that question, is this actually going to help me? And also, is this safe and does this come with consequences? Right. So we can go to the next slide here. Systems mimicry. If you ever hear anything I say, I talk about this all the time. It may be hard to think of it this way when you are in a helping professional role and you think, I am here to help. Let me help you. Like, help me help you, right? And it could get frustrating. But to families and people navigating all of these systems, even helping systems, they're all systems. And there are certain patterns and behaviors and things that come up and themes that come up for people that can trigger, it says here, it can trigger, could activate you and bring you back to a place where you had a loss of control, where there was a consequence, and it can seem really, really harmless. So a specific example, again, is like sign this paper. Well, what happened when signing something came with a consequence? What happened when you didn't really know what you were signing up for? So again, we have things listed here. Many systems require signing documents, compliance with plans, mandatory participation. These things are all loss of control, loss of choice, loss of agency. And on the helping professional end, you might be thinking you're signing this paper to get help. You are complying with this to better your situation. You have to participate in this because you will come out better. But if we don't get past trust, and people, being open to engaging and keeping them open, they will never see it that way because they will be so clouded by choice, loss of control, loss of agency, and fear. So again, I call this systems mimicry because this, we don't know everyone's past, we don't know everyone's involvement. Many parents and adults that face the system could have had systems involvement or even just interactions with authority that didn't go the way that you might think they would. So courts, CPS, probation, institutions, those can live in the body for people, and they might not even be able to name it. But really routine things can bring up those body feelings for people. So just to be aware that tasks may look small, but to other people on the receiving end, the user end side, it can signal power, risk, and loss of control. All right, so I just brought up trust. I mean, trust is really what's underlying here. The thing is, and hopefully this is a way that people can relate to this. The number one, like in like a dating relationship and stuff, like the number one thing that you cannot do, it's like a red flag, is being like, say, trust me, right? I'm not like the other girls or guys or whatever. You can't tell people that you're helpful, even if you're a helping professional. You cannot walk in and say, I'm a safe person. I'm helpful. And then that's just going to solve the whole thing. Trust with authority is not automatic. It has to be built. And oftentimes it has to be rebuilt. Because how many of those phone calls that people are getting hung up on and put on hold lines and shifted to hear that and the other, by the time they call you, you could answer the phone shiny, polite as day. And they're already so discouraged and on guard that you now have to. Again, we talk about if you damage repair, you have to repair somebody else's harm and you didn't even know, right? So sometimes you're rebuilding trust. So for many professionals, authority can feel neutral or even honorable. We respect our leaders, we respect our supervisors, all of those things. But for people who have experienced institutional betrayal, like the phone shifting and the tone and all of that, or even worse, authority doesn't automatically signal safety. It can signal surveillance, judgment, or consequences. So when someone hesitates, disengages, or questions something, that may not be resistance. That was some of the words that came up, right? Resistance, defiance, all these other things. It may be someone just asking, is this authority different from the last one? And again, that might be really hard to think of if authority has always been consistent and predictable in your experience, to really conceptualize that for someone else, it has always come with a consequence, a disappointment, or just maybe just their needs just weren't met. All right, breakout activity here. So again, if you're new here, or if you're returning, this is not just like a straight, we're teaching you things you don't know and have never thought of. Everyone here is qualified to share learning, to teach this, to contribute. Everyone here is in this space and has many different experiences, many different pieces of wisdom and all of that. So it's not just us sending things to you. We really want this to be a learning collaborative where you all share with one another. So breakout is really a big highlight of these sessions. So please introduce yourself, your role, where you're serving, your scope. and choose one of these. We can also put these in the chat as well, as I think the chat will follow them to the breakout session. But think of a time where someone labeled a person non-compliant. What else might have been happening? Even think about you. Think about a day where someone might have called you non-compliant. Maybe you showed up late to work that day and you could have been labeled just, oh, they don't care about being here on time. They don't value promptness. What did your morning look like that they didn't know, you know? What signals might indicate a lack of psychological safety? All behavior is communication. I get that from teaching background. It would be nice if everyone could articulate those signals in the body, but many people really, even as full adults, don't articulate their emotions and what's going on. And some of it can be really unconscious. They might not even be aware of why they don't want to sign that paper. It just doesn't feel right. And three, what conditions increase real engagement? I think I've dropped some keywords here and there, but feel free to add some real scenarios. You know, make this concrete. What do you actually see? What's an experience that calls to mind? So choose one, discuss, and I think some rooms will have facilitators maybe, or is this self-facilitated?
I'm gonna do another experiment to help facilitate even more networking here. So we thought it would be helpful for folks to maybe get a chance to connect with people who are in their regions. So I've gone ahead and created breakout rooms that you can jump into based on what region you are in. So to define those for everybody here, it's Southeast Kentucky, and however you define that, right? It doesn't have to be exact, just kind of the region you consider yourself as serving. Northeast Kentucky, South Central, North Central, Southwest, and then far west and Midwest, anywhere you want to fit into all of that. So please be sure to grab a group that works well for you. And then I will also screen share the instructions to those groups as well. So go ahead and jump into your breakout. Hopefully that's working out okay. Is everybody able to get into there? It may not work. I'm not sure if this is cooperating here for us. Let me check the chat here. Okay, audio is going out in and out for you. Sorry about that. Can you guys hear me okay now? So you should be able to get into a breakout room that aligns with what region you serve. Just go ahead and pick whatever feels right to you in terms of where you are. Jump into that room, and I'll also help with assigning folks if they need it. And I'll go ahead and screen share also to the breakout rooms as well. So if you haven't joined a breakout room, please go ahead and do so. Folks are getting plugged in there. I'll also help with that here. Sorry for the audio.
Can't see the breakout rooms. If you'll just send in the chat where you're located in the state, and we can get you assigned.
All right, getting folks started here. All right, and I may go ahead and just assign folks here to rooms because we have some folks going into their rooms, some that are not. So let me go ahead and do that. Right, let me stop share and re-share here. Okay, we're getting y'all assigned here. Just experimenting with this as a strategy. Hopefully I'm sharing this also to the whole breakout room. Okay, great. Kelsey, I assume you're working on getting folks into the rooms. I'm working on it too.
What do you think about Lexington? Or
Let's put
like,
them in like South Central for,
oh,
yeah.
you mind deciding something?
And then Brent can go to also maybe North Central here.
I'm trying to catch everybody up, but I'm sure I missed somebody. Heather to Western Kentucky. I should be able to send you there.
Okay, Deandra goes to Louisville.
Should have got a notification to move, but if not, feel free to put us in the chat again. I might have missed you.
Rebecca. Okay, Rebecca, Gabrielle, and yeah, let's get
Gabrielle, I can assign you to Northern Kentucky. Perfect.
Rebecca goes to Northern Kentucky also.
I think everybody who puts an assignment should be assigned.
Thanks, Kelsey.
Yeah.
So folks, I want to get into your breakout here. We will get you there, no problem.
It looks like Southwest is our most bare bones here.
All right. We could send a few folks there too. Oh, breakouts. Yeah, Southwest. All right, Johnny's there too. Okay, let's see if folks are able to chat. Well, Lisa and yeah, who's on that one? Yeah, Leah and Kayla work together a lot. That's great. Thank you.
A lot of times it seems like some people, of course, are working at the same time and have to step away. So
Yeah, totally. All right, this is perfect. All right, we'll let them roll for another 5 minutes or so, maybe a little bit extra. I think we'll have a little bit of a buffer because it took a minute to get people there.
yeah, I wonder if it would be easier if we put like some city names.
Yeah,
Because like
that's probably
Midwest
better.
Kentucky, like I'm trying to think about my parents. Like, okay, Allen County, I guess I would put South Central, but I mean,
Yeah, and I feel like I was like, oh, we can just like give it a region and people can think about where they vaguely would associate. But it would probably be helpful to have like region in a couple cities that like what's like the biggest of the cities in that area, you know? That's a good idea. Thank you for helping get
yeah.
everybody where they need to be. All right.
Lisa, I see that you're just now joining us, but we're about to move back to this room from the breakout, so you can just hang out until then.
Yeah, I was on earlier and my internet keeps cutting off in and out.
Oh,
So yeah,
Oh, that's so frustrating.
I know it. And now I'm getting a work phone call. So thank you all. I'm going to get off here.
No worries, Lisa. We'll get you all the follow-up materials. Thanks for being
All right.
here.
Thank you.
People are rolling. All right. So bring him back. Hey, welcome back, everybody. As you're coming back from your breakouts, hope that was a fun connection, and thanks for playing along as we're experimenting with that regional way to connect. So feel free, as we're all coming back from the room, just for the sake of time with today's session where we have a resource spotlight at the very end of a presentation, we're not going to do a Menti poll with key takeaways, but if you want to put out in the chat as folks are returning from their breakouts into the main room, anything that you took away from your conversation, that would be awesome. Would love to hear about your learnings, what you all talked about, and what you're going to take away into your day to day from that connection. And of course, that can also include, oh, I really want to follow up and connect with Leah, or I really want to follow up and connect with Taryn. So be sure to share contact information if you're finding folks who are working in similar spaces or doing things that would be mutually beneficial to your work as a helper. Again, we're all just coming back from breakout rooms here. So as we're returning, feel free to pop out into the chat any thoughts that you had on key takeaways from your breakout room experience, including connections to folks that you may want to follow up with after Navigators.
Are you ready to jump back in?
Yeah,
All right,
but feel free to
great.
add those takeaways into the chat. But let's go back to main room programming, Valerie.
Yes, please do. We had a great conversation. We talked across all of the questions, and I think we shared what works and also realism about some of the constraints, and also not even just what you say, but the environment that you create. So there was a whole lot that came up in our group. But continuing on, so what is the point of compliance? May sound like a little pushback if you believe in help and you know the power of help. But again, if we're putting ourselves in the shoes of people who don't know yet and people are trying to assess their safety, one of the biggest questions people will quietly ask when they're going to seek help is, what is the point of this? And that might be something, that might be an assessment on your teams. Why do we ask them to do this? Are we just doing this because we've always done it, or is there actually a reason? So if a task feels like a checklist, compliance becomes performance. Like, do you really need me to answer that question before you offer this service? Do you really need that paper, or is that something that you have a partnership with another organization and you're helping them out and tracking information because that's not why I'm here. So these are all the things people are thinking. And again, this came up in our group as well. Fear. People, they may be closed off because they want to avoid a consequence, not because they believe that it helps. And engagement changes when people understand how something connects to their own goals, not just the system's requirements. All right, so next slide here. Reframing non-compliant. I actually very much despise this word, and every time I say it, I'm a little annoyed. But instead of asking why won't they comply, ask what conditions are missing. Let's approach this with curiosity, right? What power imbalance is present? What safety has not been established? What question is the behavior asking? And resistance, again, it can be information, it's a signal. Dr. McLeod, you said that earlier, right? So when we reframe noncompliance, we stop asking that question and we start asking these other questions that, is there psychological safety? Is the relationship too rushed? That came up in our session, that there's time constraints around engagement because it requires intentionality and time. Again, what are those conditions that are missing? Is this task meaningful to them? People, they need help. They're focused on something. They're not going to do these extra things. Um, so really look at resistance as communication, not a grievance to you because you're not the person that needs that help. They're the person that needs that help. It's not about you, it's about them, right? If we treat it as defiance, we're going to miss the information that it's giving us. And someone else had brought that up in the group, like not to make it about yourself, not to internalize someone's resistance or non-compliance, air quotes, and all of that. All right, so what does engagement actually look like? Because we said a whole lot of what not to do. We did offer some reframes, but engagement does not mean agreement. It means the door stays open. We've talked about that in past sessions. That really is the number one goal. Engagement does not mean that you are perfect. It does not mean that you're going to get everything right. It does not mean that you are the epitome of safety and connection and relationship all day long. It means that you are there, you're keeping the door open, you are allowing for someone to come and feel safe and non-judged, but also that they come back. And that might mean that they don't want to engage at the moment, but don't close the door for future engagement. So it means, and again, if you damage, repair. It's going to happen. If you're in a relationship with someone, there's going to be a misstep somewhere. Just repair. But engagement means the door stays open, questions are welcome, agency is preserved, and trust can grow over time. So it means that people feel safe enough to stay in the room. It means they can question something without punishment. Trust is rarely built. We've talked about this in other sessions again, but trust is rarely built in a single interaction. It grows across many moments. That's where that consistency comes in, the clarity comes in, where people realize that their voice and that they as a person actually matter. All right. So, what is one reframe that you will carry forward from today? One thing that stuck with you. So just again, we think about reframing noncompliance. What conditions are missing? Is there psychological safety? Is the relationship too rushed? Is the task meaningful to them? Like, what is communicating? So which one of these, or something that someone shared in your group? Again, this is shared learning. What's something that somebody brought up that you will carry forward from today? Feel free to use the QR code here or go to menti.com, and code is on the slide. Also, if you can't get on here, feel free to use the chat as well. Resistance is opportunity. Yes. Everything that is not working the way we think it should is an opportunity for it to work. Right? So, non-compliance nearly always means there's a challenge. Yeah, there's questions there. Approach it with curiosity. What's happening here? What's not happening? What was said? What wasn't said? And what is implied? There's lots to unpack. Meet them where they are. Yes, yes. End user, the customer is always right, you all. If it was your help, you would be the help seeker if it was about you, right? Approach with kindness and empathy, power differentials. Yeah, I say this all the time and I will say it forever because a lot of people think I don't have any power. If you can control someone else's narrative, if you can write down that they are non-compliant, you have power over them. Be the light. I love that. Yes. Do not make assumptions that people have support systems or that they had a great day or anything. Just start fresh with you and that interaction. Someone also mentioned in our group that if someone comes back, if they didn't engage and they return, it's a fresh slate. Look, we're going to start from square. We're not going to bring up that they came and left. We're just going to be bright again. Start over. Be aware of tone. Yep. It's a lot of self-reflection. It's continuous. Again, engagement is a practice. You've got to continue to reflect on what you're doing, assess, and then, when you make that misstep, you correct it, and that's it. Keep moving forward. Keep the door open. Some people are not ready. Yes, engagement is not about what your expectations of someone else. That is control. So if you are engaging perfectly and they are not, that doesn't mean that they are non-compliant. That's part of the process. We'll continue to allow the client to lead. Yes, again, you cannot approach engagement with a expectation of how someone else will respond. These are all great.
Even in the chat here too from Carol, use our eyes, use our ears, and silence our voices. Listen with our eyes and ears, and give them space to breathe and grace to take their time.
I love that. Awesome. Well, feel free to keep using code, keep using chat. And let's take this home here. So, final takeaways. So, when we reframe non-compliance, we stop treating behavior as a problem to correct. Again, with a lot of system stuff, we talk about systems mimicry. It's so focused on the person, so for an individual failure rather than community conditions or systemic structures. We need to just zoom out a little bit. Non-compliance is everyone's a question for everyone, right? It's treated as information about safety, about power that just came up in the Menti, about trust. And when people feel seen instead of managed, engagement becomes possible. That's where real change actually begins.
Thanks so much, everyone, for your co-learning together, all of the insights. As always, I will be sure to share not only the slides, but also all of your Menti poll responses so that we have that for reference going forward. And thank you, of course, to Valerie for her leadership through this super important content. And it's like Valerie said, it really each one builds on each other, but being able to see this kind of lens, the languaging of non-compliance and the challenges to whatever we would see as being compliance, right? From everything from being able to access the resource to like when we think about trauma, right? It's all about Brittany Harrington, who's on this call, used this definition for one of our peer support calls of trauma is when something happens too much, too fast, too soon, right? So we can't be in a situation where we're pushing folks beyond what their capacity and their priority is in this kind of engagement with compliance. It's not on our timeline, as Valerie said. It's on the help seekers' timeline and needs. So really excited to introduce you all to a resource. We like to do these resource highlights, especially as they're relevant to our topic. Aaron Pointer and the Reentry and Employment Division at the state and some of the amazing resources and connections with his team across the state who are working in ADDs on workforce development, second chance employment, so many great resources with his team. But before I turn it over to Aaron, I want to give us all a heads up. We're not going to be voting on our topic for next session. We will revisit voting because we have a special event, a special feature film with many guest cast members here. This is a panel we actually put together with our Western Kentucky project that Leah, and Kayla and Theta have all been a part of. So we wanted to bring this panel to this group because it was so impactful in Western Kentucky, working with our DCBS supervisors and other helping professionals, a panel conversation on the effects of stigma on parents with substance use disorder. So we're going to be hearing from several panelists who are bringing their lived experience and perspective, talking a little bit about the science of addiction. And also Valerie is going to bring us some information about the importance of family legal representation in this space. And as folks may know, there is currently a bill with the state legislature to establish an office of family legal representation. So very timely here. So mark your calendars, make sure to share information with your friends. I'll do the follow-up email as always for our session on April 29th, our special panel on the effects of stigma on parents with substance use disorder, featuring several of our voices and faces on Navigators, in addition to me and Valerie, who are here with us, Brittany and Rebecca, and Theta and Kayla. So without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Aaron to share the incredible resource that his team brings to all of us as help seekers and helpers. Oh, Aaron, I can't hear you. Can other folks hear Aaron okay?
Can anybody hear me? Can you hear me
We
now?
got you now.
Yes, we hear you now.
See, I was doing I was talking so nice about everybody. See, no, I've loved this meeting, and I actually sent a request. I was like, can my folks, who are also called Navigators, can I just send this, all to them, and they come? So I'm not going to go through like our whole presentation. I just want to give you kind of a really brief, but I do want to share, if you could give me permission to share at least one screen so everybody can get some contact info. My name is Aaron Pointer, and I'm the director of the Reentry and Employment Services branch for the Department of Workforce Development, Office of Adult Education. And we really focus, and I was talking about it in our breakout group, which I loved. I have a team of navigators, and they serve as our central nervous system for the workforce system and like the judicial system and the jails, of just really trying to connect and help folks navigate all the resources. And the one thing that I want to really put out to everyone here is we really try to bring all of those workforce resources to folks, and put the resources in their hands, put them in front of the folks that can help them out. For instance, individuals that are at risk or reintegrating into society that may need training or further education. They may need a GED. They may need career services, whatever that looks like, but being able to equip them and connect them with the folks in real time, and then navigate and manage that pathway with the folks, right, with the participants to get them to a level of self-sufficiency and where they go. And one thing, and this is something that I loved in our breakout group and kind of hearing everybody talk, is it takes that village. And I'm not an SUD expert, right? I can talk about it a little bit, but there's folks for that, and there's resources for that that would be better positioned to give the advice, to make those connections, to help navigate that for folks. Very similar as I'm not going to get anybody a GED. My team is not going to help anybody get a GED, but we can walk that path with somebody and then take over and fill the gaps that we can fill in. One of those things being identification, right? We fund and help issue through various processes state IDs for folks, right? Again, I'm not giving them the ID, I'm helping fund it, but the Department of Transportation takes care of that. And so being able to do these things and remove those barriers for folks really unlocks a lot of potential for them moving forward. So I'm going to share actually just 2 slides. That's it. I want to be judicious of everybody's time. Can everybody see that? It's got all my folks' contact information. Everybody see that? Thumbs up. Okay. So please take a photo of this. I know we had some discussion of where's South Central and all of that. I'll show you in just a second. But take a picture of this sheet. And these are my team members that are out and about. They are navigators. They are doing the things. They are bringing all the workforce and social services and resources to folks across the Commonwealth. So check that out. Look at our Putting Kentuckians First. That is our primary program that we oversee. It's little, right? So you may have to take a picture and then zoom in. But that is what we do. And then I'll give you my contact information for anything specific that I could assist with. But there's all their names and their emails. They are very super responsive at all hours, so do not hesitate to contact them or to partner up or pair up with them. But here is where our operations are rocking and rolling. And the colored in, what that means is we have a dedicated navigator that you would have seen on the previous slide, assigned to those counties and doing our good work in those counties. And so if you are present in one of those counties and you want to connect with them, here in a second, I'll go back and show you the previous slide in just a second again. But reach out to them. This slide also, you can take a picture of it. It's got their contact information as well. It's a little bit smaller, right? Because I don't have it in presentation mode, but that's what we want to do. And here's the deal. We want to connect with you. Y'all are good people. I can tell, right? I've heard, I've listened. Y'all are good people. We want to partner with good people that are of the same mind that we are. So there's a picture of where we're covering. The white areas is not to say that we don't have operations there or we can't help there. It's we just don't have somebody on schedule, going and doing these things. So here's their contact information again, a little bit bigger. And I would just ask that you take a picture of that and reach out directly to me. My email is Aaron, Aaron, dot Pointer, Poynter, at ky.gov. I know I'm lying to everybody. My name is Jonathan. I told everybody else, I said, that's my government name. That's my first name. I don't know why it's on the Zoom, but I go by Aaron. My email is Aaron, Aaron, and I will put that in the chat as well. So with that being said, I don't want to take up anybody else's time. We also do mental health first aid. We also do trauma-informed care. We have a big component with Senate Bill 90, if you've heard of that. So anything that starts kind of firing off in your brains that we can partner or we can work together, we want to do it. I'm in. And then I'm going to try to get all of my folks to be coming to this. So I yield the rest of the last 4 minutes of the meeting back. I hope I was quick enough.
Perfect, Aaron, and Aaron Jonathan, whoever you are with your
Yeah.
name. So I just think this is such a beautiful connection.
Margaret, you're cutting out again.
Oh, sorry, guys. My audio is being so weird. I'm sorry if that's been a pain throughout the conversation today. But just really want to encourage folks, like Aaron was saying, no one has the whole piece of the puzzle. This is helping is a team sport, but this group of navigators with his program has a lot of those pieces when it comes to workforce development and helping to coordinate folks getting set up with employment. So, and they're based in those area development districts and really have access to all of those critical resources there. So for me, this is kind of like the easy button, right? As you're working with someone who might be seeking help, anything related to getting them ready to re-enter the workforce or change jobs or establish different kinds of pieces of the puzzle that they need to be able to enter the workforce. Aaron's team has got it, right? So you kind of got a new counterpart in these regions if you haven't already been working with them. And we're so excited to get your team onto Navigators next time, Aaron. I will send you a follow-up email with all of that. And I will make sure that everybody has the follow-up information, those slides from Aaron as well. There was a question out in the chat for identification, like the state identification piece. Does that include undocumented families too? Is there any kind of support around the immigration piece?
So that is, and I'm sure everybody knows, I guess in the news and things like that is very extremely touchy. I will say that there are resources as far as the ESL population. There are resources to support them. Uh, the thing is, we care about the folks, and there may be things that we can do that we will absolutely do, but there may be workarounds to certain situations that we have to explore. I guess that's the best way that I could put that. But the undocumented and those that population is traditionally very difficult, especially from a state standpoint, and just kind of everything going on. But we're not going to turn anybody away. We're going to help them as absolutely best that we can, no matter what. I don't ask that question, and so my folks don't ask that question, so we're going to try to help everybody.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We are of one heart and one mind here in terms of our goals as navigators and helpers. So thank you so much, Aaron. And I will make sure to get all that contact follow-up out there so we can all connect around that. Everybody have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you so much for playing along with our film director theme and navigating noncompliance, how to reframe there. We'll see you in April for our SUD parental experiences with stigma panel. And I'll get all these follow-up resources to you all right after the call. All right. Have a wonderful afternoon, everybody. Thank you again, Aaron. Thank you, Valerie.
Thank you.
Bye.